Giants jockstrap. Get him out of here. Ah!
How does that not indicate to you, like, hey, sometimes, like, these prospects are awesome?
Bravo, get back. They snatched that chain, boy. Get back. What's all going to do about it? Popeye snatched that chain. Get back. We want that snack wrap. They got 3 flavors. Y'all got 1. Get back.
Hey, everybody. Welcome into The Big Factor here on the Big Play Sports Network. Ryan, Tyler, Jack O'Rourke, Nick Perdone, Rob Watson. We are wasting no time jumping right into the news, and we have so much to talk about, so much football, so much Browns. We start here. Browns beat the Eagles 2-0 in the preseason, first time in a couple years. We all know how much that means. Just kidding. Let's start by talking about Dillon Gabriel. 13 for 18, 143 yards, and an interception. I want to ask you guys this. Exceed your expectations, under your expectations, just about what you thought you were going to get from the Oregon product? How did the game go?
Expected, kind of a little bit over. He did play he played well. He made some good reads, but at the same time, it kind of confirmed to a degree what I thought he would be as a player. You know, it's a low ceiling guy with a solid floor. You know, he's smart. They say, you know, despite not throwing the ball out of bounds on a crucial play where you just should have, you know, not passed the ball into double coverage, but he can make the plays that are being told to him to throw, but when it comes time when you got to go off script a little bit, might get a little scary. It's kind of just what he is, you know. Kind of reminds me of like a short Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, it showed me that he could be a backup quarterback, which is what I thought that he was and all that I really think that he can be in the National Football League. I mean, it was boring. How about that for a word? Like, that was one. I get preseason football. You're rarely signed up for thrills, and maybe we were spoiled a little bit in Shedeur Sanders' debut, but I was pretty unmoved by what I saw from Dillon Gabriel, and that's not a shot. I just thought that, to Rob's point, he managed the game. He moved the sticks. He did that's what he did at Oregon as well. Yeah. Like, when you watched him play college football, it wasn't really dazzling. I mean nothing, and I mean nothing about that performance screams franchise quarterback. Same thing. That was the word coming out of joint practices, where the Browns actually looked competent against the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's a really good and encouraging thing. But the word out of those practices was like, don't get excited for Dillon Gabriel. Like, you even had Eagles reporters saying that just because they know what it is. It's, I mean, one of the shortest guys that has ever taken the field at that quarterback position. And like, and so just the fact that he was able to move the sticks was impressive. That's about all you're going to get from Dillon Gabriel, though, I think.
Yeah, I thought there were some impressive things. Like, he was 5 for 5 on his first 5 third down attempts. So, like, that's something cool to look forward to. But I don't know. I mean, like, he throws that bad pick, but like the first receiver who's on his way in front, he kind of like dropped his hands out the last second. I think Shedeur had a pass to Gage that was a little bit off target in the first preseason game, where Gage got his hands in the middle and batted it away. So who knows? Like, maybe you flip that and Gage pulls his hands away. Shedeur throws a pick in the first game. Maybe those hands stay out for Dillon Gabriel. He doesn't throw a pick. I mean, there's weird little things like that happen in a football game, but overall, I thought there were positives for him and Snoop Huntley. You got to love to see it, right?
I thought...
Tough.
Edit that off TV, right?
Mulligan.
I thought that Dillon Gabriel played pretty decently. I thought the short and intermediate routes, he was spot on the money. Couple to Jamari Thrash. There was one over the middle to Cedric Tillman that I think was about 20, 25 yards. He has a strong arm. It takes like it does look like when he throws the ball, it takes a lot out of him. Yeah. You know, I think about it when tennis players hit the ball.
Yeah, like he's
that's
slinging
kind of
the
what
ball,
it looks
right?
like. But I mean, that's what comes with the territory. That's what comes with the stature of being a sub 6 foot quarterback. But I thought he was exactly kind of what you drafted for, a guy that was accurate, a guy that could get the ball out quickly, a quick decision maker. He looked comfortable in the pocket, I thought, all things considered. Browns did a pretty good job of protecting him. I thought the protection was pretty solid. And Dillon Gabriel did exactly what I thought he was going to do. There was one, the boot play action when he threw the ball over or turned the ball over. I don't blame it on the receivers for spacing, just to throw the ball away, but that's a rookie mistake. Again, with Shedeur Sanders, I don't know how much good he could have done that would have regardless changed our perception on him. And I wonder if people's perception would be different had you not drafted Shedeur, had Shedeur not played before him, potentially looked better in some people's eyes. I guess let me ask you that face value straight up. Who had a better game, Shedeur or Dillon Gabriel?
Shedeur Sanders.
I mean, one of them turned the football over. One of them turned the football over twice and didn't find the end zone, and the other one had a clean game and found the end zone twice.
The other one also was doing that with some of our starters playing to start the game versus their backups. It was just what it was expected, man. I think like what I really saw out of Dillon was he's kind of a one-read quarterback, and it could work in this offense at times, but we'll also always see the downfall where there's the bad interception. Like, he's the guy Kevin's going to draw up the play. It's going to be a good play. He's going to say, look here. If not, it might just be throw the ball away or tuck it and run. It's kind of what it is. I didn't really see him surveying the field. It was, he could get the ball out, deliver it accurately once he anticipates the throw because he kind of knows where he's going to go with the ball. But I just wasn't wowed, and I didn't expect to be wowed. But he still played solid.
Well, Joe Thomas
Ryan
was freaking out about that in the booth. By the way, like there was like many times where he was like, he is staring down these defensive backs, and like the Eagles DBs were starting to jump some of those. Like you saw it obviously on the pick six, but there were a couple other near interceptions that ended up just being pass breakups because I mean it was quite literally
snap,
snap, lock in on receiver, and I'm letting it fly, which you obviously can't do in actual regular season games against starting defenses. I found it fascinating that it was more than once where Joe Thomas was like, oh man, did he just lock in on that receiver? And the Eagles DBs knew.
I will say though, like there's entertainers and there's competitors, so I'm real glad that we have a competitor out there in Dillon Gabriel.
All right, before we get...
was that game entertaining or competitive? I would say
neither.
I would say that was neither.
Competitors.
He's got to find new words.
Competitor's going to complete his handoff.
Before we dive into semantics and all that quote and the meaning, needing context, last thing really about Dillon Gabriel in terms of his game. A lefty quarterback.
I hate it, dude.
Watching it.
I don't like watching lefty quarterbacks. I never have. Like, it's been my thing against Tua for forever. It's why I was early on Tim Tebow being a bust as a 10-year-old, despite the fact that he was raw in college. It's just like, you ever see those things where, like, if they flip around Tua and it's inverted, he looks like 5 times better? Like, I swear there's something with it.
I love lefties. I've never understood the hate. Michael Vick's one of my favorite players ever, so I've just always liked left-handed quarterbacks.
Yeah, I don't think that it really matters. I think that we've had enough of them that you've been able to see just throughout the history of the sport
Steve
that
Young's one of the best players ever.
You can be a lefty and be good. But speaking of that though, and like lefty and things mattering, rough day I thought for the offensive line. Especially the tackle position, which is kind of an unknown moving in to the season. So something to watch there. But yeah, the lefty thing, it honestly didn't bother me much, no.
Yeah, I was going to say Cornelius Lucas specifically really scared me because he was like the big name as the new swing tackle in the offseason who could help you provide stability, especially because you're going to expect Tevin Jenkins to be more on the inside of the line. Like, I don't know, I thought he got blown by a couple of times, and Rob, we were texting about it, but there was a couple of plays where Zach Zinter had a blindfold on.
Dude, our interior is horrendous. So if Teller and Jenkins are mid during the year, like if they get hurt, it's over. Like there's multiple plays where it looks like they're running a Madden glitch in real life, and people are just walking straight through the O-line. It's insane.
There was
bro.
a couple of because it was like I think it was like the second drop back for Dillon Gabriel.
I am, but I'm saying now if someone gets hurt, which they always do.
I watched Luke Lippler try to get to the second level to throw a block.
Bro. Like, it's
the first level.
I don't expect 300 beefy men to be athletic, but
it's bad. Someone always gets hurt, so we're a regular Wyatt Teller gets rolled up away from now. Zach Zinter's out there, and like then there goes Joe Flacco because he gets his head taken off by Patrick Queen because we're just not picking up basic blitz protection.
We talk all the time about like chewing gum and walking at the same time. Like they're still trying to get the wrapper out of the gum, you know.
All right, let's take our first break. We're not done talking about Dillon Gabriel. We got to talk about the quote because a lot of people are talking about it. I think it's so overblown and ridiculous. These guys might not think the same. I'll ask them when we get back right here on The Big Factor. Hey, everybody. Welcome into The Big Factor here on the Big Play Sports Network. Ryan Tyler, Jack Rourke, Nick Pannone, Rob Watson. Before we dive back into football, I got to tell you about our friends over at Fairway Ford. Fairway Ford, Ohio is the biggest Ford truck dealership in the entire state of Ohio. They have the largest selection of Ford F-150s and Super Duty trucks, and they will not be beat on price by any other Ford dealer. You see right up there, Fairway Ford summer sale still going on. There's never been a better time to make that short drive to Canfield to peruse over 500 vehicles in lot in their stock. Absolutely tremendous selection. Fairway Ford, the largest inventory of new Ford trucks, lowest pricing, and same hometown level of service. Scan that QR code now or go give their website a visit, fairwayfordohio.com. One more time, that's fairwayfordohio.com. Well, a quote took the Twitter world by storm yesterday. Aditi Kinkbowala was interviewing Dillon Gabriel after his NFL preseason debut, asking him about how he blocks out the noise, the outside external noise. He says, quote, yeah, it's just a part of it. You know, there's entertainers and there's competitors. I totally understand that. But my job is to compete, and that's what I'm focused on doing. A lot of people took the quote, ran with it, said he was taking a shot at teammate Shedeur Sanders. I don't think that's the case. Perhaps it was an unintentional slip. I don't even think that was the case. I think it was simple, straight up. He was talking about the media, and that's the way it was.
Listen, man, like, I've been in this space long enough that, like, when I hear quotes in press conferences or in this case sideline interviews, like, I know right as they're said, like, that's gonna go nuts. Like, that quote's gonna go nuts. And surely enough, as I'm watching the second half of that preseason game, the little light bulb animation went over my head. I was like, this is going to go viral. And surely enough, within 15 minutes, it had gone viral. And you had the official NFL account tweeting it out. You had Dillon Gabriel explaining himself in the post-game presser. Adam Schefter posted it as well. Went absolutely nuts. Poor choice of words would be my thing. Is it overblown? Yes. I would like to believe that Dillon Gabriel isn't dumb enough to approach a microphone and say that about his teammate. You know that it's probably unlikely that they're able to keep all four of these QBs throughout the regular season. So that means Dillon and Shedeur are not going to get cut. They're going to be in this quarterback room for a very long time. However, I think that the cover that, oh, I'm talking about the entertainers that's the media, that's
no
you
sense
guys.
at all.
That doesn't make sense. Like, I don't think of Mary Kay Cabot or Chris Easterling as entertainers, and especially when that's been the critique of Shedeur Sanders, saying that he's an entertainer, he's a swag quarterback, he's not about the X's and O's, he's focused on the other things, the rap, the Instagram, like. That's been the big critique on Shedeur. So to say that on live TV, I get that it was local, but then the clip goes on, goes crazy nationally. Just a tremendously poor choice of words. And I think you've got to take it for what it's worth, because he cleaned it up post game, and if a PR person probably strangled him and was like, hey, you've got to cover this, like, whether you meant it or you didn't, like, it's about the media. Say that it's about the media. They're able to course correct these things very quickly in these type of settings, but just say anything else. I don't want to believe that Dillon Gabriel's that dumb, so I'll give him a pass on this one, because God, that would just be the absolute dumbest thing that you could say. But boy, even hearing it in real time, even hearing it with the question that was asked in the context of it all, I was like, ooh, that kind of comes across as something a little nefarious. Whether it was meant to be or not, it came across that way.
It was super passive aggressive, man. Like, that's kind of what he did. As a competitor, as he called himself, you could tell he was upset that obviously his start, while it was still solid, it wasn't as good as his competition's. And like Nick said, sure, like, I don't think he picked those words saying, I'm going to throw this shot at him. Right. But obviously the subconscious part of his mind, whatever, like, that's what it led. Because yeah, who in the media is an entertainer?
Right. That's so real. The subconscious thing is so real. Like, these are human beings. And, like, if we're sick of talking about this 4-man quarterback race or whatever and they're going to name Joe Flacco the starting QB tomorrow, so is he. And he's living it. He's been the other guy since April when they drafted Shedeur Sanders, 50 draft picks behind him. Like, I truly do believe, and again, I want to give him a pass. I want to believe that he's not that stupid, but I do understand that it is human nature that this is the guy that he's competing directly against. He didn't look as good as him, and you could always fall back on the, I'm a competitor, I'm a gamer, and this guy's some swag quarterback that's worried about his TikTok followers and his Twitch stream. Like, that's the one thing that Dillon Gabriel could always fall back on. And so I don't want it to be a shot. I don't believe that he's that stupid. But boy, Jack, like the more that we talk about it, like I think the subconscious played a role.
No, I think you're right for a plethora of reasons here, Nick. And the first one is, like, they're not entertainers in the media. Like, it's not like he was coming out talking about like podcasters or people like this. Like Mary Kay's not on a tricycle juggling. She's writing about Julian Aquara versus Cam Thomas for the last DN spot. Like that, and especially when you are the other quarterback and there's so many people talking about Shedeur, if you're in Dillon Gabriel's position, you've already had like little things with like the one media member earlier this year who was like mouthing he's too short and stuff. Like, you're not going to do anything extra to mess with the media. Like that is, again, I'm not saying he said something directly about Shedeur, but I think that was the exact route that people would have to go about it if they accidentally slipped up on the sidelines during a game when you're in an adrenaline situation in your first NFL game.
You'd like to think it's a learning moment, though. You would like to think that it's a learning moment.
You'd like to think he wasn't stupid.
He's the smartest kid ever. You should know not to say that, bro. He could have been quick and brief. You gave them a soundbite. You gave them a quote. Regardless if he was taking a shot at him or not on purpose, he could have simply chose better words. He could have simply said anything else or said little to nothing at all. It is completely on him and his own fault that he is in this situation.
I also thought a closing pitcher due to make $140 million in the rest of his career wouldn't be dumb enough to bet on sports, but
I just think it's
just the way it goes.
I think it's completely overblown. Like, Dillon Gabriel, first of all, when you're calling the media entertainers, we don't view Mary Kay Cabot, we don't view Zach Jackson as entertainers, but I guess
he's lumping all those.
But
people
here's in a sense, they are. Why? Because one, people pay to read their stuff. First of all, if you're paying for somebody to do something, you got to at least categorize it as, I would say, entertaining, or they're giving you a product or a service. So I'm not going to say a haircut's entertainment, but you get my point. Then you go further into it, like, it's different for us because people don't write about stuff about us, our lives, to make a living. They do. People write about Dillon Gabriel to make a living, and they made him seem like he's the worst quarterback since the worst quarterback ever, whoever you want to say it was. They make him seem like in training camp he's just been this horrendous third-round pick. The guy picked later than him has been better, and maybe that is the truth. But I don't think this was a shot at Shedeur Sanders at all. Dillon Gabriel, ever since he got drafted by the Browns, you had rookies in camp throwing up the wrist.
Right.
A guy drafted 2 months later, and he's never said one thing about that. In fact, he's been so good in meetings.
That's true.
Right. One slip up here, it's not a shot, and maybe the subconscious comes into it. I get, but I truly don't believe Shedeur Sanders.
It brings me back. It's a shot at the situation.
Yeah.
It's a shot at the situation.
And it's nothing.
And
to do
I've
with
said this
Shedeur.
from the jump. It's a shot at the situation. The situation sucks for all four of these individuals. Like I'm being so serious. Like, because Ryan, to that point there, like, these are professionals that have worked their entire lives to get to this point. So if you're a guy like Dillon Gabriel, like, you've played 6 years of college football, you had to figure it out at 3 different schools because for whatever reason, the first level. 2 and every single corner there was a new misstep. And this corner, the misstep was you were guaranteed a top 100 draft pick. You were the 3rd round pick, and then 50 slots behind you, they draft another QB that just throws a wrench into this entire training camp, this entire preseason. The fact that we've been monitoring throws without context in preseason settings makes literally no sense. All of these guys have been set up to fail. The fact of the matter is the starting QB probably isn't on the roster right now. The franchise QB is probably sitting somewhere in the 2026 or 2027 NFL draft class. And it's unfortunate that they put Dillon Gabriel in this situation. And to me, he had a very human response in that moment as just a sheer human being that for the last couple months has been put in a pretty tough spot.
How about this too? I've been very vocal about how much I like Shedeur Sanders. I think he's better than Dillon Gabriel. I want him to be the Browns' future quarterback. I've made that very clear. I think this is just another example, and this isn't you guys, but there are people in the sense, and what did we call it with Baker? They're Baker bros. Are we calling them Shedeur Stans? I don't know. To me, getting all fed up about this quote, you're insecure.
I think it would have been
insecure.
I think it would have been the exact same way flipped around if they were the same people and the same different things, though. If Shedeur played worse than Dillon and then got on the sideline and put out a quote, it would have been the exact same thing.
Right.
People. So I can't. I'm not.
I believe it would have been.
There's no. That's why I gotta hold them each. I would say the same thing about either.
Well, but
one.
I wouldn't hold
You just
Shedeur
shouldn't have said
accountable.
that. So I'm just saying, like, that's the same thing. I feel like regardless of you got your people that are all the way either, they both would have got the same flack for saying taking a shot like that in that moment.
Yeah, it is the truth. Like, and think about it like
He
this
said
as
what he
well.
said. He's got to deal with the repercussions.
Shedeur played like I don't know that it's debatable and again it speaks to how mishandled this entire situation was. We have played 8 quarters of preseason football. 2 of those quarters have been Shedeur Sanders, and 2 of them have been Dillon Gabriel. The rest of the 4, the rest of it you're throwing in the garbage. You could take nothing away from it. So just the fact that we're trying to make these proclamations off of such small sample sizes doesn't make any sense in the first place. But I'm sure Dillon Gabriel knows that, okay, in a live public setting, my competition played better than me.
I think also, last little note on what Dillon Gabriel said too, is when you go to college for 5 or 6 years or whatever, and you're as media trained by those SID departments as you are, and then you go to the NFL, like, and you're supposed to be a smart kid, you know not to say anything that could even remotely be construed the wrong way, like that statement
Why
was.
are we
Like,
acting like this kid is like all of a sudden some linguistic genius? He's a 22-4-year-old quarterback.
And this
That's all
has
they've
happened.
been telling me. It's not his fault. They just keep telling me he's the
Yeah, but
greatest
that's
thing since sliced
football.
bread,
That's
bro.
football. That's
you know,
not
you
media
gotta-
literacy.
but you can avoid the situation, I'm
Like,
saying.
come on.
You can
I feel
avoid
like,
the situation.
Personally, I feel like I would have known not to say that in that
Right?
moment, bro. Like you said the
We're his
outside
age,
noise.
and we're talking about it.
Who else is the outside noise? Who else are they gonna think? Just think.
Who
Like
else are
as
the
you're saying the
entertainers?
words when you say the outside noise, you know what everyone's gonna take that as. Bro.
I mean, you could talk about local Browns beat. You could talk all the way up to Colin Coward, who
and
are
they're
talking
all
about Shedeur
talking
Sanders
about
pulling up that ESPN
Shedeur
graphic.
Sanders, so it's all gonna be
Yeah.
grouped in regardless. So that's why you wouldn't say that.
I'm not
That's
blaming
all
Dillon Gabriel. I think it was taken out of context, and I wouldn't blame Shedeur if it was flipped around. You know,
I guess
I'm
to
saying
Dillon
they
Gabriel's
shouldn't-
defense,
no
though,
blame. They should both get blame if they both say that.
If
If
he
you
tr-
got to be responsible for what you say.
if he
Yeah.
truly
not
meant
if
it,
somebody takes it wildly out of context.
right?
but
Because
you
if he
could know
truly
not to
meant
give
it,
them any bait.
if
though.
he
Yes, you could
truly
say
meant
that,
it
but-
about the media, you could easily lump, like, as someone
You wouldn't
that's
say
never
there
worked
are.
this, he could easily have lumped Colin Coward and Mary Kay
then what?
Cabot as
Who in
two
the
of the
media
I'm
same.
not
is a
diving into
competitor.
semantics
You'd be like,
about
you would
this,
just
guys.
say the media are entertainers. You guys have a job to do. So
Yeah,
I
why
understand
did-
why you write the headlines, but us in the room, we're all dogs. We're savages in the
He
box,
said,
like Aaron Boone said.
I am a competitor. I'm a
There's
competitor.
thank you.
I don't.
Thank you.
It's just.
All
he
right, we
could've-
got to take a break.
Words
We gotta-
matter.
we're not done
Language
talking Browns.
matters.
Potentially Browns eyeing
He'll
Trey
learn,
Hendrickson.
bro.
That'd make one hell of a pass rush duo. Also, Quinshon Judkins Isaiah Bond's futures with Cleveland. I guess kind of still uncertain what the next steps for those two are. We'll talk about them when we get back on the Big Factor. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Big Factor here on the Big Play Sports Network presented by FanDuel. I'm Ryan Tyler, he's Jack O'Rourke, Nick Padone, Rob Watson. Before we dive back into sports, got to tell you about our friends at Garage Beer. Garage Beer comes in just 2 flavors, classic light lager as well as that classic lime. No frills, no bitterness, no IPAs. It's just beer the way you want it to taste, and that's beer flavored beer. Scan the QR code now or go give their website a visit, drinkgaragebeer.com, to find local retailers who sell garage beer near you. Again, that's drinkgaragebeer.com. I'm going to need a couple garage beer after all of this hoopla about a Dillon Gabriel quote that had nothing to do with Shedeur Sanders. Anyways, guys, we move on. Trey Hendrickson, obviously, bad relationships with the Cincinnati Bengals. He needs a new contract. They don't want to give him one. They think he's too old. They think he's not valuable enough. We know how the Bengals treat their players in terms of money, at least. They gave too much to T. Higgins, in my opinion. But that's not the point here, guys. Apparently, the Browns are eyeing or potentially at least making phone calls about Trey Hendrickson. James Rapine, fellow big play friend over in Cincinnati on End of the Jungle, proposes a mock trade, Jack. This was interesting. Trey Hendrickson for Mason Graham. I immediately say no to that. I think.
Absolutely not.
No.
I mean, this is we're talking about
Like, you're not hungry, Rob?
No.
You sound like Talking Tom. No.
Trey Hendrickson's 30. Could we start there? And I think like it is very fun that the Browns were mentioned as a team to watch in this thing. And Jordan Schultz, we all trust in an incredible amount. The Bengals and the Browns have never in the history of their franchises made a trade together. I don't expect that this will be the first.
Why we couldn't get AJ McCarron back.
And truly, like
deadline.
any trade package for Trey Hendrickson. And I know Bengals fans won't want to hear this, but I'm sorry, I have to tell it this way. If you're going to trade him to a bad team, the package starts with a second-round pick, not a first-round pick. For a guy that's 30, that's going to command top dollar, and he does, and he should. And that's what this situation should have never gotten this far. Like, if the Bengals were smart, they had a bad defense with Trey Hendrickson last year. What's it going to be without him? So if they were smart, they would just pay the man his money, lock him up for the rest of his prime, and in 4 years, you could wipe your hands of this whole thing and say, thanks for your services. But if you're going to trade him to a bad team, I saw the Colts and the Panthers were other teams that had made inquiries. That package starts with a second-round pick. That's not a first-round pick.
They would make us viciously overpay for Trey, so that's why it's not going to happen. And obviously, you wouldn't. I've heard so many good things about Mason Graham, a rookie, so much years ahead of him. Can't trade him for a 30-year-old, and we're not in win now mode. And this is kind of a win now mode move, but I guess it's a lot of bad teams that are interested because of the money he's going to be trying to demand. A lot of your moves have been made already, so it's going to be hard to shuffle around that money, get him what he needs. But I mean, obviously, if it was the perfect situation and maybe we sip off like a second and like a receiver or a tight end or something, well, they don't need a receiver, but like whatever, a linebacker, whatever they need, and we would have him, Miles, and Mason Graham on the line. Obviously, fantasy scenario, super unlikely though.
It's just so crazy, like how the Scrooge family for the Bengals like just tries to. You take Joe Burrow, just generational quarterback, and how many times can he miss the playoffs just off what we do? Like it just seems like they're trying to do it year after year, over and over again. It's like Big 12 football. Like they're gonna have to win football games 65-54 this year.
I love Chris Canty because I genuinely don't think it's clickbait, rage bait. It's Tim talking about Joe Burrow is not good enough to get him to playoffs. He's all this legit generational quarterback. He should be able to overcome it, and there's a point. I just want to say that I absolutely love when he talks about that. Guys, that's an unlikely scenario, the Browns getting Trey Hendrickson. More likely scenario is that Quinshon Judkins returns to the Browns this season at some point. Now, prosecutors have decided not to pursue formal domestic violence charges against the Browns' second-round pick in Quinshon Judkins. That ends a criminal legal process, but it begins a whole new process with the NFL. They can find he violated the NFL league's policy, conduct code policy, all of that good stuff. So my question to you guys is, when do we expect Quinshon Judkins to return? I guess a better way to put it is, do we expect a suspension for Quinshon Judkins from the NFL?
You can't know what to expect. And right now, the Browns, I'm told, they're operating kind of under the guise that there won't be league punishment for Isaiah Bond or Quinshon Judkins. I know we'll get into some of the Isaiah Bond stuff later in the program. Here's the thing, though. So they're not expecting punishment, or at least harsh punishment. They said the same thing about Deshaun Watson. Yep. They thought it was going to be time served. They thought they had everybody fooled, and that the fact that he had sat out that full season with the Houston Texans was going to be enough. And then the 11 games, settlement that came as a big surprise to everybody. So they've grossly miscalculated this kind of stuff before. I truly think you have to wait and see. And can we go through like order of operations? Please excuse my dear Aunt Sin. Like, he's got to put pen to paper on this contract. Like, that's what has to happen first.
I think also a lot of it comes down to if the female who is with Quinshon Judkins decides to speak or not with the NFL, because like there's no way for the NFL to subpoena someone. Obviously, like it's not a legal matter. So if she doesn't choose to talk, then there's probably a very good chance that there's no suspension. But if she does speak and the NFL finds him to be guilty of whatever to whatever extent, I think that's where the suspension would come in. So I think a lot of it comes down to if his accuser would speak in the first place.
If it keeps leaning towards kind of shakedown, as some people have said, with some of the mishandled stuff, perhaps. I don't know. I'm not in the legal case, but I can see him maybe getting like I would guess anywhere between 2 and 5 game suspension, max of whatever like Mike Hall got last year, minimum of 2. I don't really see him getting all the way off with nothing due to this holdout. But if he does, that would be kind of crazy. And, you know, that would say a lot to the legality. Like, if the NFL did it, it would speak a lot to what I can't find the word, but of the allegations.
The findings.
Yeah. So that would say a lot about it. Isaiah Bond, you know, if I don't know about that either. They're saying he might get no suspension. That would also, I mean, I'd take them both on no suspension, but I would assume Quinshon for sure. I would guess like 2 to 5.
Yeah, I mean, how crazy is it? I was thinking about this. Like the Quinshon situation and the Mike Hall Jr. situation are almost identical. Like Mike Hall Jr. There was a narrative, you know, and that's ultimately why the suspension and that whole thing moved a lot quicker, because you knew clear cut and dry what was alleged probably happened, and then the suspension came despite the fact that the legal charges were thrown out. The Quinshon one, there's a lot more gray area as to what actually transpired, what took so long for it to be reported. The narrative is a lot more gray. However, the fact that the legal proceedings were thrown away, like the state of Florida quite literally didn't want to proceed with anything on the case at all, and then the National Football League is going to have to do their investigation and have their finding. Like, it is eerily similar, the two.
I did see a tweet that was kind of funny over the weekend that was like, imagine if a year ago you found out that the Browns were going to get Shadur, Dillon Gabriel, who had gone to win the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year, Quinshon Judkins, Dylan Sampson, who had gone to win the SEC Offensive Player of the Year, Isaiah Bond, Harold Fannin, and Mason Graham all in the same draft. Like, you'd have thought the Browns had the most disgusting rookie class of all time, which, hey, who knows? They haven't seen him play yet. But I will say, my one thing about Isaiah Bond, though, is you guys know I'm up and down on troublemaker Tommy Rees as an offensive coordinator. One thing Tommy Rees knows how to do, though, is get guys in open space with a lot of speed, and you saw that with Isaiah Bond at Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously that, addition is one. Like, we were talking about Isaiah Bond at when I was in Indianapolis, you guys were asking me about this guy, just because he had taken that official top 30 visit with the Browns. Like, he had been linked to the Browns for a very long time. Ultimately, they had their due diligence over the weekend, and then they work out that fully guaranteed contract, which I'm sure was a little bit of mutual due diligence. And obviously an undrafted free agent who wanted compensated after what was a dramatic NFL draft slide. Like, this was a guy that we were talking about as a 2nd or 3rd round pick after that final season at Texas, and probably was the lesser of the two, him and Matthew Golden. Golden was the premier guy in that Texas offense last year, but boy, was that Texas offense high flying, and Isaiah Bond played a big role in that. The Browns' search to find receiving options continues.
Nick, what do you think that due diligence looked like, considering how quickly that whole thing got turned around?
So Andrew Berry did release a statement today and said, before the allegations, they spent a great deal of time with Isaiah Bond during the pre-draft process, on campus, at the combine, at their facilities. His time at Alabama with Tommy Rees also weighed heavily in their assessment of him. On the legal side, this is from Browns GM Andrew Berry, we have done extensive research that includes, but is not limited to, hearing from both sides of the case and receiving the results of an independently administered polygraph test. The Browns made Isaiah Bond take a polygraph test.
Wow.
That's hilarious.
All right, man. Yeah, I've heard enough on that. I don't want to hear anymore, bro.
When you hear,
Aren't they not allowed to use those like in court anymore?
I don't want to hear anymore.
No,
I don't want to hear.
Good job, AB.
They're not admissible in court.
That's so bad.
this is crazy.
So
a polygraph test.
Where did you hear that?
All right, to throw that in the letter, like, he took a polygraph.
Take us to break. Take us to break.
Get us out of here,
They
please.
felt
Did he also take an oath?
so good about that they put that in the statement.
thing, dude. He
Pinky promised,
As
guys.
long as he's sworn on the
telling
Bible,
the truth,
guys.
bro.
As long as he swears on
Pinky
the Bible.
promised.
I mean, I don't even mean this as a joke, but like from watching the Netflix documentary, like, they weren't even allowed to use like Yellow's polygraph test with Amy Bradley at all, and that was like
Get us out
that
of
was
here,
25 years ago. Get
us out of here, man.
I'm not.
They're
hungry.
wildly
I'm not
inaccurate.
hungry.
Yeah.
Polygraph tests are wild.
All right, let's take a break. When we get back,
bro.
we're flipping over to college football a little bit. college football already eyeing expansion. I feel like this is going to be an every year thing, that they want to just add more teams. It's going to be like March Madness when you get up to 64. All right, let's take a break. We'll talk that when we get back right here on The Big Factor. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to The Big Factor here on the Big Play Sports Network. Ryan Tyler, Jack Rourke, Nick Pannone, Rob Watson, Isaiah Bond signing a 3-year deal with the Cleveland Browns. He pinky promised he didn't do anything wrong. We pinky promised you Geauga County Fair is going to be a blast, Nick.
It is going to be an absolute blast. It's crazy to believe. Labor Day weekend almost here, and we will be out at the great Geauga County Fair. Thousands of animals, all the fried food that you guys could imagine, tractor pulls, demolition derbies. You could get your tickets now, jaugafair.com. That's the way to get in on the fun with us. We'll be out there. It's August 28th through September 1st. You can get your tickets now, jaugafair.com.
I'm just still laughing about a polygraph. All right, let's flip it over to college football.
That is ridiculous.
Jack, when I read this, Pete
Sources,
Thamel,
trust
in
me,
the
bro.
2018 model, I thought I was like Mr. Krabs. I'd take my eyeballs out.
Oh
and
yeah,
rub
and
them
just
off.
rub them off.
2018 model.
I have so many thoughts on this, guys.
The Big Ten and SEC would each get 7 auto bids, while the ACC and Big 12 would each receive 5. There'd be 2 auto bids for the non-Power 4 conferences and 2 at-large teams. 2018 format would put 20 playoff games on campus, which would accentuate the success of that form from last year's college football playoff. The college football playoff committee would see the field and pick the at-large team.
Wait, this
The
is
Big Ten and the
never
SEC are the two greediest, just
7
like
auto
organization,
bids?
like bigger than, dude, like
kind
more
of-
than like Big Pharma,
Purdue's
like whatever you want to name. The Big Ten and the SEC are just beyond ridiculous. Their plan should be thrown out. The only one I would consider is the FCS plan listed below. But in the first place, guys, do you remember watching Penn State SMU when SMU like couldn't even get the ball 5 yards downfield? That Jennings kid threw like 9 interceptions in the first half.
ACC
I think you could argue 12 was too many. You know, like maybe even 8 would be cool.
12 is perfect, I think.
I think if you the only way I do this is the
pushing
FCS one where there actually is one, like the conference champion from every conference gets in, because then at least it's the fun of like, okay, Kent State's gonna play Auburn
That's not
and
fun.
get whacked by 70 points, and then you go into the quarterfinals. I don't know. It's
20
just,
People,
14 automatic teams from 2 conferences is insane, bro.
the thing about
and
it,
the fact that
ridiculous.
also real quick, I'm sorry to go on a tangent here, Ryan, but the fact that the Big Ten and the SEC are coming out and saying this in the first place, which would eliminate their conference championship weekend, makes me want to never hear one more word about Notre Dame not being in a conference ever
this
again,
point, let's-
considering the only reason that they have the conference championship game in the first place is for extra revenue, because
it,
clearly
bro.
they don't care about it the second they can replace it.
Play an 8-game COVID season and then just have the longest playoff ever. Because why are we still adding teams, bro? What's the comp in this?
I think one of the biggest flaws of college football, and I don't even know if flaw is the right word to call it, is because I'm not sure what the fix is. It's just it's a product of college football, is the fact that you have just powerhouses. In the NFL, you have dynasties, but it's nowhere near to the same level of college football. It's to the point where if I'm not an Ohio State fan, if I'm not a Texas fan, if I'm not an Alabama fan, yeah, you have your Boise States every 10 years. You have your Cincinnati Bearcats every 10 years, if that. But it's to the point where it's like I have to wait that long for them to be competitive. And I'm not expecting them to be going to the playoffs every single year. But my point is, even if they make the playoffs more recently than they do, I don't care if they get blown out. It's just the fact that my team got to the dance.
Yeah.
I
That's
think it's
the
so
F-
special.
that's
But
why
even
the
when your
FCS
team
format,
goes
though.
out,
They're gonna
that wouldn't
lose all
make
their
it.
players in the
That's
championship.
why if they
It's
do
not
it,
fixable.
I would do the
I'm
FCS
just sitting
though.
here crying to the poor, but
because that way, like if you do the FCS format and you do, so it'd be 10 conference champions, 14 at large, so you're still going to get all your SECs of the world and your Big Ten teams in and your really good ACC teams and Notre Dame. Like every team in the country realistically, maybe not realistically, has an actual shot to make the playoffs. Like, just win your conference. It's at least there's something to look forward to, even to just get in.
If I'm the Bearcats, I'll hang my banner for beating or losing to Georgia by 60 in the first round.
And it's cool.
Hang the banner.
And now with the extra, you got to win 4 or maybe 3. Some teams might have had to win 3, but it's 4 or 3 to win it. It's going to be pretty much impossible for those teams. Before, when the regular season really mattered and you made it, and then it was you had to win 1 or 2 games, or just the one bowl game. You might not have been the national championship, but the fact that you were in a bowl game versus a powerhouse, you could upset them. That's how we got stories like Boise State beating Oklahoma back in the day. Now, really doesn't matter. Bowl games have lost. You watch no bowl games except
Nobody
the playoffs.
plays
bro.
in them.
You don't watch. No one plays. You don't want to watch them. The regular season doesn't matter because Ohio State can lose 2 games and they're still gonna make it.
Names.
Yeah, it doesn't matter anymore. Now you got auto bids, so like the 3rd team in the SEC, bro, it's dead anyway. They'll lose important games. Like Auburn could upset Alabama in the Iron Bowl, and it won't matter because Alabama's still gonna be in the playoff 2 weeks later.
Yeah,
like
look
all
what
this
just
stuff
happened last year.
I
Ohio
also
State
think
lost to Michigan in the
and Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois.
All this stuff no longer
we did.
matters,
It feels
bro.
like they're trying to make this like March Madness,
And it's not the same
what makes March Madness fun is the upsets, and it's just so unlikely
But
to
Nick,
happen in football.
Even that's where I was going to go too. Is we had a conversation on this very show after March Madness this year, where it was like, hey, with NIL and the transfer portal, are we going to start seeing less updates even in college, or less upsets in college basketball?
Yes.
College football, it's even harder with the parity.
There's
It's not
50 players. It's so much easier in basketball, even with the portal, to have 5 to 7 solid players who could play a solid scheme versus a team that's got all these kids that want all this money that are going to be selfish and are thinking about going to the NBA versus a team that's all about just winning and being scrappy. And then basketball is it's a much more game where a team that's bad could get hot and win one night. Football is so much different. So much, the better team is usually winning. And it's just, and then in basketball too, less wear and tear. They could play more games. And in March Madness, every conference actually sends their champion to the dance, regardless. It's not the same over here. They keep trying to get the same thing, the tournament style format. I got it when it was occasional times where the best team might not have made it to the championship game, but at some point, the best team is whoever's the most consistent all year, doesn't slip up, they earn the chance to play in that game. Now you can slip up and it doesn't matter, and it's taking away some of the magic that was in college football.
No easy fix, and we've waited long enough. We got to take a break when we get back. Our FanDuel Parlay of the Day, presented by, of course, FanDuel. We'll present that when we get back right here on The Big Factor. Hey, everybody, welcome back to The Big Factor here on the Big Play Sports Network. Ryan Tyler, Jack O'Rourke, Nick Padone, Rob Watson. Yeah, we are coming up on FanDuel Futures Day. Tell us all about it.
Absolutely can't wait. On Tuesday, August 26th, it is FanDuel Futures Day. A new holiday for football fans. It's 24 hours of deals on all of your football season predictions. So take a flyer on the MVP race. Crown your champion right here in August. Our parlay your division winner dark horses. Mark your calendars for Tuesday, August 26th. This is your day for your hunches, your hot takes, your calls, and your odds. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now, because FanDuel Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG.
Jack, let's make a parlay.
Let's do it. We got the FanDuel 100% profit boost promotion going today. So we're going to take this bad boy from plus 1236 all the way up to to plus 2471. Starting out, Paul Skeens. How many Ks is that? Do you see that, Ryan? Him, her, him. 6.5 for Paul Skeens. Nick's pick of the day. Following that up as well with the Nerfy in the same game. Skeens against Kevin Gausman. Got 2 aces on the mound. Got to hit up that Nerfy. Then, Ryan, we got your leg. Hey, what do you say? Robbie Ray on the mound taking on Nestor Cortez, who's having a shaky year.
Nasty
We're
man.
going Giants money line plus 159 in that one. Gavin Williams, 2 starts removed from almost getting a no-hitter. Had a bit of a shaky one last time out. You know he's got to bounce back today. Gavin Williams over 5.5 strikeouts once again. Paul Skeens over 6.5 Ks. Nerfy in Pirates Blue Jays. Giants money line. Gavin Williams over 5.5 Ks. Guys, once again, with the 100% profit boost, plus 2471 in the FanDuel Sportsbook.
What do you guys say we make some money today?
Let's do it.
We have to. Why not?
How about-
Why not?
How about we hit one?
How about Paul Skeens? Nick, that leg fired me up. When I saw the Skeens Day text in the group chat with the Ks, such a fun picture to watch. And man, like you never feel better about a guy when he's out there and your coin's on him.
Well, I sure hope we cash that and make some bread. All right, guys, we got to take one more break. When we get back, we'll wrap up right here on The Big Factor. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to The Big Factor here on the Big Play Sports Network. I'm Ryan Tyler. He's Jack O'Rourke. Nick Bonone, Rob Watson. We're wrapping up here, guys. We were just weeks away from NFL kickoff. Eagles-Cowboys Thursday. That's the start of the official season. Browns, of course, not until the Sunday. Finally, it's almost that time where Kevin Stefanski won't have a choice but to name a Browns starting quarterback for week 1. Nick, it seems like it's all but over that it's Joe Flacco.
He can't keep us waiting for much longer. The QB competition is going to be over by default. I believe the announcement is going to come on Tuesday, and we're all of agreement, right? We're all anticipating that it's going to be Joe Flacco.
Better be.
Yeah.
My Kenny Pickett dream was live until tore his hamstring. What is that with that, by the way? Grade 3?
Kid,
Not good.
when are we gonna see him, bro? You got to get out there and do something, bro. Like I don't get how you come in and you're an
trying to
unproven
force
guy,
it
bro.
to start one more time in his
like,
NFL career.
You know what I'm saying? Like you're not this guy that's got all this behind you saying, "Oh, we just know what you're about, bro." We don't know what you're about. We don't know what you do, bro. Get out there and prove something.
It's
bro.
disappointing. It is disappointing because I really think that they wanted to see if he could make this interesting, and the fact that he just hasn't been able to be on the field in 11-on-11 settings over these last couple of weeks is just discouraging. And I do think they're gonna. It sounds like Kevin Stefanski said he was hopeful that all 4 QBs would play in Saturday's preseason finale against the Rams here in Cleveland. So maybe you could get a look at Kenny Pickett in that game, and maybe he shows that he's worth that roster spot and keeping all 4 of those guys on the roster. Like, just because they're going to name Flacco the starting quarterback on Tuesday, all of this mayhem is far from over, because then the attention's going to turn to who's the backup quarterback. Are they going to try to trade one of these guys? Can they carry all 4? Buckle up, guys, because this is truly just getting started.
Buckle up, throw some prayers, kiss your loved ones. It's going to be a long NFL season. All right, guys, appreciate everybody tuning into The Big Factor on the Big Play Sports Network presented by FanDuel. Shout out Fairway Forward Garage Beer and the great 2025 Jugga County Fair as always. We'll be back tomorrow, same people, same time. Until then, peace out.